Welcome, Kate.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Here in France, it's D-Day for this long-awaited sale of mobile operator SFR.
Yeah, the board of Vivendi, which is the company that owns SFR, is going to be meeting later on this Friday to discuss the competing offers from Bouygues Telecom and Numericable. Now, each of those have now upped their bids. Altice, which is the majority owner of the cable company Numericable, has raised its cash offer from 10.9 to 11.7 billion euros. The other suitor, Bouygues, also raising its offer from 10.5 to 11.3 billion euros. Now, more cash would, of course, mean that it would leave less of a stake for SFR's current owners. No matter which offer the board decides to accept, it will be reshaping the landscape of France's telecoms industry, which is currently made up of 4 major players. They've been locked in a price war since the low-cost operator Free entered the market back in 2012.
And another development that could have a big impact for cell phone users, the European Union wants to introduce a universal charger.
Yeah, and it would be for phones, tablets, even GPS systems, any electronic item, basically. The European Parliament has approved legislation that would make having a universal charger an essential requirement for any electrical good approved for sale in the 28-nation EU. The move would come into effect in 3 years' time. Commissioners saying it comes in direct response to consumers' concerns and that it would make both environmental and financial sense.
I think it's a great idea.
I do as well. I think a lot of people would really like it.
Absolutely. Now in the U.S., it's a big development for oil giant BP 4 years after America's worst ever oil spill. What's going on there?
Well, the U.S. government has lifted a ban on BP, saying it's going to allow it to start bidding for government contracts again. That ban was put in place following the 2010 Deepwater Horizon spill from a BP rig that, you'll remember, killed 11 people and spewed more than 4 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, America's Environmental Protection Agency had accused BP of lying about the amount of oil being leaked. It cited BP's lack of business integrity during the spill and its aftermath and banned it from bidding on federal contracts. Now BP has agreed to a number of ethics and safety requirements, and it'll be able to start renewing those fuel contracts that it used to have with the U.S. military and other government agencies. And it'll also start being able to bid to lease more offshore oil and gas properties. So big development for BP there. They're saying they're thrilled about it, of course.
And let's turn our attention to the markets now.
Yeah, we saw a lot of red across the board on Wall Street on Thursday. U.S. stocks seeing their worst declines in 5 weeks. The Dow closing down for the 4th day in a row, and the Nasdaq shedding about 62 points there. That trend is continuing over in Asia. The major indices have been down pretty sharply. Japan's Nikkei, you can see, plummeting over 3% there this Friday. The yen has been seeing a strong performance, which makes for concerns about Japanese exports. Toyota, Sony, and Toshiba are among the session's hardest hit there, each down around 2%. The overriding concern for stocks this week has really been China, a slew of data this week indicating that the world's second largest economy is going to be slowing down. It's been weighing down the markets throughout the week.
Now, one of the big winners of the market on Thursday was Eurotunnel. And their profits last year, it seems, tripled to over 100 million euros.
Yeah, for years that group has been on the verge of bankruptcy. It's been restructured several times. It finally turned its first profit in 2007. Now the company's optimistic that the page has officially been turned. Delano D'Souza has the details.
It's taken a while, but after 20 years, Eurotunnel has seen its profits triple. The group that manages the undersea tunnel between France and England reported revenues of 1.1 billion euros. In 2013, 10 million passengers went underneath, a 12% increase from the previous year. Eurotunnel finally seems to be picking up its rhythm and bringing in the cash.
The company has clearly been saved. We've normalised and we've given our growth projections for 2015. We're increasing our dividends one more time this year by 25% to compensate our investors.
It's not always been rosy for Eurotunnel. The project was spearheaded by Margaret Thatcher and former French President François Mitterrand in 1986. Building the tunnel took 8 years and costs spiraled to about 3 times more than expected. Early investors in the project lost a part of their money to bring the Eurotunnel to life. The change of fortune for Eurotunnel has one investor upbeat. She initially invested the equivalent of 77,000 euros. Her shares today are worth 4,700. On its 20th anniversary, the group remains optimistic. It set itself an earnings target of 500 million euros for 2015.
Thanks so much for joining us, Kate Moody, with all the latest business news. We'll have you back in just a few minutes now for a tour of the day's hotspots on the web, starting with internet tributes to Berkin Elvan, the Turkish teenager who died from wounds sustained in anti-government protests last year.
These images, which have been circulating on social networks, bear witness to the scale of demonstrations in several Turkish cities, including Istanbul and Ankara on Tuesday and Wednesday, with tens of thousands of people taking to the streets following the death of 15-year-old Berkin Elvan 9 months after being hit by a police tear gas canister during anti-government protests in June of last year. His family posted a message to Twitter on Tuesday morning announcing his death to the general public. His story has become a